Welcome to 2A Cops, Cops Supporting Gun Rights. I'm Keith. In this episode, we're going to talk about the ATF director and an appointee that he just put beneath him in the ATF office. This guy's job is to coordinate with law enforcement agencies around the United States, and what a shock. He's a chief of police, and he admits that his people may have seized guns unlawfully in a news story. Stay tuned for a little bit more information. Welcome back, everybody. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, leave a comment. It lets the algorithm know that we're important. And that way other people get to hear what cops think about the Second Amendment and what we think about the current slate of ATF rules that are coming out, which we don't like. And we've done a lot of videos on that so far. But let's talk about this new guy that got selected by ATF. Back on February 13th, the ATF put out a news release that said Chief Dwight Henninger is being appointed as the first senior law enforcement partnership advisor to the director for the ATF. So what's this guy really going to do, and why is it important for us? Basically what ATF is saying what this guy is going to do is, as a senior law enforcement advisor, Henninger will focus on law enforcement coordination work across 25 ATF field divisions. He'll support and enhance ATF's relationships with law enforcement entities by providing technical expertise and specific program suggestions to help develop and maintain effective, sustainable relationships with local, state, tribal, and federal law enforcement agencies, as well as promote ATF relationships with key local stakeholders. This newly created position is located within the office of the director. So this guy's going to be located with the director of the ATF. I dig deep into this. Let's uncover what this really means. Okay, first off, why does this position even need to happen? It doesn't. If I needed ATF assistance, then I would just call them and say I need ATF assistance, which I wouldn't call them because I don't need their assistance. It's like I worked closely with DEA, Homeland Security, and some other agencies when I was working. I picked up the phone and I called. And if I didn't have a contact over there, I just called the main office number and I called them, and then we set up whatever needed to be set up. What does this guy think about guns? What's his history of views of guns? He's a chief. Now, Matt's the other co-creator on 2A Cops, have written extensively about chiefs and what chiefs are, what their views are on gun control. The chiefs aren't in line with the rank and file. Surprise. It's not like anybody grows up and says, I want to be a chief of police one day. No, man, people grow up and say, I want to be a cop. And then they want to go out and help people. They don't think, I want to run the organization. So Henninger is retiring in March from the Vail Police Department, Vail, Colorado, which, if you don't know what Vail, Colorado is, Vail is a very beautiful city in the Rocky Mountains where all the rich people live. People like you and I aren't going to live there. It costs a little bit too much money. He's the chief of that place, so you can imagine how quite liberal Vail is going to be. So in 2022, Henninger completed a term as president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, which is the world's largest professional association of police leaders with more than 32,000 members in 170 countries. The IACP is a very political organization, so he led the IACP. The IACP is a very liberal organization that has not recently done anything to help the street cop. They have all been about promoting themselves and taking care of themselves. I'm going to catch a lot of flack from this from other police leaders, so I hope you guys appreciate me coming out and telling you about this. So do me a favor, hit that like button, that subscribe button. I'm going to need it. Let's go back to 2018 and let's look at some of Dwight's tweets and see some of the things that he's tweeting. So Dwight's Twitter handle is Dwight for IACP, so Dwight for the International Association of Chiefs of Police. So back in 2018, apparently he knew he was going to be the president in 2022. Here's a nice picture that he posted of Vail, Colorado. It's beautiful looking. March for Our Lives in Vail Village today. Great to see our citizens out and concerned about gun violence. March for Our Lives and gun violence. Well, you can see where this is going. Dwight, again, in November of 2018, he reshares an article that came out. He talks about this doctor is right. We need to come together to deal with this public health crisis of 90 plus people a day dying from gun violence. Okay. We've seen those figures before and we know that they're hyperinflated. Especially, I find it funny, they're profiling a doctor when doctor malpractice kills more people than guns, but I digress. All right. So going back now, Vail Daily, the local Vail newspaper, in 2019 posts an article, and it's on their cover. They're very proud of their chief. Vail Police Chief Dwight Henninger joins policymakers in support of red flag law to simplify gun confiscations. So he's in support of red flag laws. Matt and I have written extensively. We'll put links to the articles that we've written about it. We wrote about red flag laws. Most of the cops that we have polled and talked to at 2A cops have come out and told us that they don't like red flag laws, just like we don't, because it puts them at risk. And then it also, there's no due process for the people. When I look at that article, there's some interesting highlights out of that article. Vail Police Chief Dwight Henninger testified in favor of the bill last legislative session, and he attended the press conference announcing the reintroduction of the legislation on Thursday. So apparently he's very passionate about seizing people's firearms. I just know so many cases where people had access to guns and decided to use them to commit suicide. And that lethality of choosing that weapon and having access to it, we've got to do something to change that, Henninger said. Now, I've been to a lot of suicides too. And one thing I've noticed about suicide is that people will do whatever they need to do. When they decide to kill themselves, they're going to do it. And it doesn't matter if they have a gun, if they're going to jump off a building or anything else. Just since he's putting his experience as a police officer out there, which I can tell you, he was only a cop for, I don't know, before he went and got promoted. He's probably a cop for 15 years or something. And then the rest of his time was as basically a leader. As a leader, you're not responding to calls. So my experience has been they're going to kill themselves no matter what. It's sad and it's horrible. I'm not trying to minimize it, but hopefully you get where I'm going with this. You guys will let me know in the comments. You guys always, the comments are 75% really good and 25% people just raging in there. It's hilarious. Going on to this same article, he continues on. It seems to be a real no-brainer to me, Henninger said. Most people think we can already do this, and maybe in the past, we have taken weapons without any real authority, and then the judge says, you've got to give those back. So this is kind of operationalizing and giving legal authority to officers that most people think we already have. He just admitted that he lets his cops take guns from people when there's no authority. And it's in the press. Now, I've been misquoted by the press before too. I hope that that's a misquote from the press, but it is what it is. I'm putting out what I'm finding out there, and I'm not trying to slander anybody, but hey, he's a political appointee. And if he's put into an assignment, I think we all deserve to know what's come up in the past. On May 7, 2022, Dwight puts out again, ATF HQ, okay, see him setting himself up, he's tagging ATF HQ, hosted an important conversation about crime gun intel with chiefs around the country. AG Merrick Garland kicked off the discussion on the importance of addressing gun violence, proud to represent the IACP along with our firearms committee at the meeting. When we continue on in June 2022, the IACP, who he's now leading, puts out another tweet with a nice picture of him getting ready to speak. Live from the IACP studio, the IACP president, Dwight for IACP, joins, and then a bunch of other just groups that don't really help cops to talk about how Congress needs to take action on gun safety. How did he get picked for this, right? Well, maybe it's because of his work working at the IACP. When it came time to pick the current ATF leader, remember, if you go back in time, there was a lot of hard times picking who was going to lead the ATF. And so they finally select a guy named Diethelbach. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Diethelbach. Anyways, two major law enforcement groups endorsed the Biden pick for ATF. Now, who are these groups, right? Well, one's the IACP. And I've already talked about the IACP. And as of late, they haven't really done a lot for street cops. With all the stuff going on in America right now, they haven't been supporting us. To me, it seems that they're supporting themselves and the people that are in power at the IACP and to help further their careers, which him going to the ATF doesn't really help out their cause of saying, no, we're here for the cops. No, you're here to help yourselves. The IACP put out, Diethelbach's years of experience as a United States attorney have provided him the opportunity to work closely with law enforcement agencies and gain a unique understanding of the challenges and complexities agencies face in combating firearms, violence, gang-related crime, and other threats to our communities, IACP President Chief Dwight Henninger said in the association's letter to endorse him. So Vail Police Department posts a picture of Chief Dwight Henninger and Commander Justin Liffick. Post them together in front of the Capitol in uniform, campaigning. They're present today in D.C. to celebrate the passage of Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the most significant gun violence legislation in 30 years. He's on duty in uniform going for this. What happened for me is just an officer, and I decided to show up in uniform and do the same thing, but like we defeated a political bill, and I showed up in uniform. How do you think that would go over? I've noticed that chiefs are very political, but they're not elected. And they're appointed by a mayor, usually, or a city council. And then for them to just show up in uniform in D.C. promoting all this. So then he goes ahead and he gets appointed to the ATF, right? Under the director. After he is backing all this anti-gun legislation, admits to taking guns from people when they didn't have authority. And then he shows up and now he's working, and then he gives a endorsement to the current ATF head. And now the current ATF head goes ahead and gives him this cherry job in DC to promote, promote welfare amongst police agencies, right? Like, well, I for one don't want to deal with you. I'll just call my local ATF office if I got to talk to him, which I don't need to talk to him, but that's how I would do it, not call some lackey in DC. So why is he anti-gun? So when I dig deeper, Dwight began his law enforcement career at the Garden Grove Police Department and Irvine, California Police Department. So it looks like he was a reserve in Garden Grove. And then Irvine, he was probably a regular cop. Now, I haven't reached out to friends that work at those departments because I don't want them to get in trouble. Don't want to go ask, hey, what kind of guy was he? What was he like to work with or whatever? Because I just don't want to put those people in a position that they'd now risk their jobs. Interesting enough, when he was in Garden Grove in 1980, when he was working as a reserve, another officer was shot and killed. He was murdered by some dirtbag. It sounds like that might be what kind of initiated his anti-gun belief. But Matt, our co-creator, has lost a lot of friends to getting murdered on duty. And he has some interesting things to say about how he can support gun rights when his friends and fellow coworkers have been murdered. He wrote a great article about it. I wish Matt could come on and talk right now, but he's got a lot going on right now. So I'm just going to handle things now for a while. But go read Matt's article to counter people that come up and say, well, my partner was murdered, so I think we should take guns away from everybody. I'm not trying to slam Chief Dwight Henninger. I just want to bring up what I found when I just dug through his past. I just think it's important that when they put something out, you should look at it, dig into it, and see what they have to say and see why are they putting that out. And then dig deep into it and then throw it back like what I'm doing. I hope this video gets a lot of views. I want people to see just the lunacy of what these people are doing and trying to seize your gun rights. That's all I've got for now. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell. We need to get more people to know about our channel and what we're doing. I think a lot of people can resonate with what we're saying. So go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. That's all I've got for now. Stay safe. Take care.